الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. صدق الله العظيم. Alhamdulillah, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's immense fadl and mercy, we have been given an opportunity to sit in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it has been mentioned by our honorable Alama, to how rewarding of a chance this is, that it's actually unfortunate that we couldn't sit and listen to them for longer. Sometimes I come at Fajr time and given the opportunity to listen to them. They are our ulama. We are literally dust at their feet. And obviously we are still learning the things that we need to learn. That's why it's very simple, the people who are passing on and spreading this message. I say it is a very dangerous thing, is because for a normal person like myself, it can be and act as a double-edged sword. It's because, first and foremost, if a person sins openly, it is a different matter to a person who sins privately. A person who sins at night time in his bedroom, no one sees him, his matter is with him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here it's a different matter. It's because now everything I speak, all of you could testify against me. Oh, he doesn't do this. So it is even more dangerous, as Alama Sahab can correct me wherever I make a mistake. But most importantly, our duty is to spread a message. And because sometimes we read about the work of the awliya Allah, the pious and righteous people, whether it be from 1,000 years ago, whether it be from 100 years ago, whether it be last week, you read and hear about the work of the awliya Allah, the friends of God, the people who have achieved something in this life, in this temporal life. So all we are trying to do in this world is we are trying to purify our body, mind, heart and soul. And it doesn't befit a believer that he lives this entire worldly life with his normal customs, and he just goes through life every single day, every single moment, and every single opportunity he is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every breath, every minute, every second, every day, every month, every week. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granting you a new opportunity, a new chance to rectify the state that we have placed ourselves in. So today we are going through a topic from Fathul Ghaib, one of the books of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Gilani rahmatullahi alayhi wa radiyallahu anhu, on basically oneself and the states we may pass through. So let's just try to, because one of the beauties of the work of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Gilani is that they actually simplify it, and it is even said that their works are so simple and so easy to understand, is that they have removed the obstacle of the mind and the heart. This obstacle has gone. So that means on an intellectual level, on whatever difficulty you're having in your heart, the works of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Gilani rahmatullahi alayhi have been simplified and made easy to understand and act upon. So the very first thing that is mentioned here is that, so the Shaykh Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Gilani mentions, may Allah be pleased with him, is that there is Allah and then there is one's own self, the nafsuqa, the nafs, the inner self, the lower self, the desires. And you must address the situation. Now, if I was to ask you, like, imagine now, first thing is that you're going to do, you're going to say, if you open up this book, the revelations of the unseen, and you open up this book and you see, okay, address the situation. The first thing is you can do is you place Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His sifat, His might, His glory, His Rasul, and everything attributed to Him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All the things which are attributed to them. So you've placed that, right, okay, we've addressed one part. Now the other part is myself. The other part is me. Which part of me though? Is it my mind? Is it my heart? Is it my body? Which part is Shaykh Abdul Qadir Gilani referring to? This is where sometimes is that we are taught from the ulama, the scholars, is that when they talk about this, they are referring to the nafs. The nafs, the inner self. What is this? And that is sometimes is that we don't understand. Even before a person embarks upon a path, before they understand tariqat, or understand the deen, or understand the sunnah, understand anything, they won't even know what the nafs is. And this is one of the greatest deceptions of the nafs, to make you think that it doesn't exist. This is one of the first things the nafs will trick you to believe, is that this doesn't exist. The nafs isn't there. And we have talked about this before, but I'll give you an example. When one of the nafs does is that it will trick you to believe that you are it and it is you. You are the nafs and the nafs is you. So that means is that whenever you, for example, this is one example we can provide, is that when a man starts to think he's a woman, or when a woman starts to think he's a man, this is only from the nafs, from shaitan, from the inner self. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never created us like this. So you can imagine the nafs will start to make you think that, okay, a person has an addiction, a person drinks alcohol, a person smokes cigarettes, a person does drugs. The nafs will trick you to believe that you're an alcoholic. And then you start to accept, I'm an alcoholic. When you do drugs, you say, I'm a drug addict. Or I'm a gambler, I have a gambling addiction. The nafs will start to deceive you into thinking that I am the nafs and the nafs is me. When really, you are not the nafs. And the nafs is not you. That is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created inside of you to test you. To test you. So what is Shaykh Abdul Qadir Gilani? The nafs is the opponent of and the enemy of Allah. It's the opponent and the enemy of Allah. So we've talked about what the nafs is very vaguely. The lower desires, the lower self. You can describe it however suits your own understanding. And one thing is that it says you are the nafs, the oneself is the enemy of Allah and the opponent of Allah. There are different states of nafs that we can discuss in the future. But what Shaykh Abdul Qadir Gilani is referring to very, very precisely here is that, and all things are subordinate to Allah. All things are under the authority. So everything that is happening in the world, in your body, in your mind, all the things that are out of your control and in your control in some cases, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate authority upon this. And then what he's saying is that, what Shaykh Abdul Qadir Gilani is saying is that the self really belongs to Allah. So this nafs, like they say they say that one of the latter stages of the nafs is nafsul mutma'inna, the one that has become content with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nafsul lawama, nafsul amara. There's different types of nafs, even goes beyond this, beyond nafsul mutma'inna, where the nafs even then dissolves itself. The nafs then becomes, even to a state, it dissolves itself. Even then, it doesn't even think it exists anymore. But it is still present there. And that's why really human beings are still naturally will be inclined towards easiness and evil. And then what I say, as a creature of possession, and as a creature under possession. So just like how I have a phone, this is my possession. A person, like another example we can provide is a person who has goldfish, person who keeps a pet at home, a cat or a goldfish, whatever pet you may have, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and the Mashaykh are giving us this example that first you need to look at this situation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the subordinator. They're the one, the ultimate power. They're the ultimate authority. So now you're like this goldfish in a bowl. You are only fed when Allah decrees. You only sleep when Allah decrees. You only live the next day when Allah decrees. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing you, this is my might and this is my power. For you, all you can do is respond to this call. Respond to this. And how we do this, the Mashaykh go on to further elaborate. But the self entertains 4 things. It entertains 4 things. The first thing is presumption. Who knows what a presumption is? Haji Majid, would you like to enlighten us with a vague definition?
You assume something before what it is, or you know what it is, so you assume.
Acha. MashaAllah, this is true. So we have the definition here. So an idea that is taken to be true based upon a probability. So it is something that we presume to be true based upon chance. Based upon chance. And this is, if you look at this first assessment of the Mashaykh, is we come to learn why we don't have yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why we don't have belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why we don't even believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because to you it's a probability, it may have happened. It may have happened. The yaqeenat is not there. The reality has not entered into your heart, is not settled. The chance is still there, the confusion is still there. It's like a tangle of emotion, a tangle of knowledge, a tangle of understanding. When really what you should do is, if I say to the brothers who have these wires and say to you, right, bring me all of the wires in one go and just shuffle them up, they'll be tangled up. The wires don't have a choice. And they won't tangle themselves. But if I say to him, bring this wire and scrunch it all up, and you're looking for this particular wire here, this mic wire, so he says to you, you're going to say, right, okay, hold on a second, no point pulling, it's going to make it worse. If we pull one wire, it's just going to strengthen the knot. So what you need to do is, first and foremost, you need to sit down, look at it, say, right, okay, we need to start undoing this knot. Undoing the knot. Bringing in clarity. Bringing in that reassurance. And this is why really you sit at the feet of the ulama and those who have learned from them. This is why really you shouldn't just pick up a book, read it, and understand it. Many of these things are checked. Sometimes these things are checked. I don't just write it up and say, this is how it's going to be. This gets checked. So there we understand the presumption. So what do we need to do? So if you are living in, do not entertain presumption. The very first thing, after we've covered these 4 things, inshallah, we'll move on to the dhikr. But because these are 4 vital aspects to why a person will somewhat remove themselves from deen, will remove themselves from the sunnah, will remove them from the mashayikh and goodness and good sohbah and good company. So the first thing is presumption. And what do we need to do? Make clarity. Sitting at the mashayikh and understanding. Understanding. That is what we need to do. And bringing in that reality, bringing in that yaqeen. Ilmul yaqeen. That it is real and it is true. Only I have confused myself. So the nafs did its job. You are maybe living up to 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, whatever, and you're still confused and in doubt. Why? Because you've allowed it to take place and happen. You could have put a halt and stopped this at that time when you felt, because really if you look in the book of the Path of Muhammad by Imam al-Birghawi, he actually talks about it, about identifying evil. And when he originally goes through the understanding in the beginning, rahimahullah, he mentions that at time you will be inspiration will be placed into your heart, and inspiration will come into your heart. And when this inspiration comes, then the time to start rectifying yourself. Because sometimes you get this big, sudden burst of energy. I'm going to pray now. I'm going to fast now. I'm going to do dhikr. I'm going to do askar. I'm going to masjid, tasbih. I'm going to do everything. But that's the time to reflect and ponder. Where am I? Where is my position? What do I need to do to remove this barrier, this obstacle that I've placed myself in? So the first thing is removing presumption. Don't need to guess. Get rid of the guesswork. End it. No need to guess. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Mashaykh, the awliya, the malaika, Yawm al-Qiyamah, all this is asal and reality. It is true. You have made it like a fantasy in your own mind. So don't do this. The next one is, the Mashaykh are talking about, is aspiration. Aspiration. Now one thing about presumption, it was only bad. Presumption can only be bad. But with aspiration, you can have a good and bad aspiration as well. So what it's saying here is that a hope or ambition of achieving something. A hope or ambition of achieving something. When you set out, okay, I give you an example, say you wanted to travel to London, you want to travel to Manchester, you want to travel to the mosque. What is it that you have to do? You have to have a map. You have to have a direction. You have to have a car. You have to have fuel. You have to have means of transport. Okay, the means are there. Now, all you have to do is reach London. That's it. The means are there, petrol there, everything's there, done and dusted. But now what you need to do is have the aspiration, I'm going to reach London. I'm going to get to my destination. So the goal here, what you should have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qurban nearness. Allah's qurban nearness. Not to have aspirations of dunya aspirations. Yes, these can be fine in some regards. But you yourself should understand is that where I want to be is in the qurban nearness and pleasure of Allah. I want to attain Allah's pleasure. That's what I want to achieve. And if you've not achieved any of this, then you need to go back. Right, okay, let me eradicate my presumptions about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any deficiency in aqidah, any deficiency in fiqh, any deficiency in any of these matters, you can get these eradicated, that's fine. Khair, it will be done. But you need to have a clear mind when traveling a path. A clear mind and clarity that this is each step I'm going to take. That is why a guide is a necessity in these matters. Because they understand the path, whereas people who have not completed it don't know. So the first thing is having aspiration to achieve Allah's pleasure. Okay. The third one is the carnal appetite. And what is carnal appetite? It is the fleshly desire of eating and sleeping and other desires. For some it might be going to gym, for some it might be anything that is removing and distancing yourself between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is your carnal appetite. Your desire to achieve, your desire to fulfill your basic bodily needs at the sacrifice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where many things, this is why really, if you understand presumptions, for example, now a person doesn't understand when the matters of coming to the jama'ah, matters of when you're traveling, or when you have limited water, what do I do in wudu? Okay, understand the faraid, understand the ghusl, understanding when I'm traveling, what I need to pray when I'm traveling. What are the conditions of jama'ah? What are the conditions of missing the jama'ah? What are the conditions of attending the jama'ah? That is why in the column of presumption, this should be cleared. There shouldn't be any room for confusion or doubt. Because when there's room for confusion or doubt, you cannot progress. There's no progression. You could be, imagine now, if I said to you, close your eyes and run. This is what you call the treadmill effect. It's called the treadmill effect. Is that your eyes are shut and you are moving and running and running and running and running, and you open your eyes and say, I'm still in the same place. I'm still in the same place. You've not traveled anywhere. That's the reality, isn't it? This is what's going to happen. You don't understand fiqh, you don't understand aqidah, you don't understand the path. And now all of a sudden you say to you, okay, thoda samajh aayi, now I've got a bit of understanding in my mind. Now you go into this place where your treadmill is, and you stand on the treadmill and you run for hours and hours and hours and hours. And you're thinking, when I open my eyes, I'm going to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to be there. I'm going to reach Allah's qurb and nearness. Reality is, when you open your eyes, you're going to look around and say, I'm still in the same place. I'm still here. It's saying on it, I've lost 5,000 calories. It's saying on it, I've run 20 days. It's saying on it, I've run 50 miles. It's saying on it, I've run 500 miles. But I have not got anywhere. I'm still in the same place. I've not moved. I'm still same person. I've lost weight, alhamdulillah. But weight loss doesn't get me near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If in this case anyway. So you need to understand is that I'm trying to really simplify this as much as I can, even the youngsters can understand as well. Is that you have to remove and add things and bring things into your path and into your journey that will only compensate and complement you. You cannot add things at your own understanding. And they call it self-direction, becoming their own shaykh and these kind of things, which are very dangerous things actually. And the last thing is that a sensual desire. Who can tell me the sensual organs? Which ones are the sensual organs? Acha. Now, from the body side, don't have a guess which one. Sensual organ means the one that they can give in and give out as well, in a way. Anyway, I'll explain to you. One thing is, the sensual organ is the tongue, the eyes and the ears and private parts. Those are four sensual bodily parts. I think there may be more, but there's four that we can definitely confirm. And these four things have a desire. So the tongue has a desire to just speak freely. Oh, I can say what I want, talk however I want, act however I want. The next one is the eyes. Very dangerous are the eyes. Very dangerous. Because they say the eyes are the mirror of the heart. The eyes are the mirror of the heart. Whatever you put in, that's what the heart will see. There is no other bodily organ. Like nowadays, we can talk without even moving our mouth. But there's no other bodily organ that replicates, and we can even hear without even using our ears. But we can never see, except with these eyes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given to us. So, these eyes are extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. If there is a desire for women, a desire for cars, wealth, you see someone with a lot of wealth, you desire this wealth. Because this is what you're feeding into the heart. And this is one of the things why you need to understand is that tazkiyah. The tazkiyah of the nafs. The tazkiyah of the body, mind, heart and soul. Primarily the body, even non-Muslims do this. Our own bande, our own Muslims, our own Musliman, they're not even knowing about it. They don't even have any idea, any clue. But you see that once we understand tazkiyah, understand the purification of the body, the mind, the heart and soul, only then will we truly start to travel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's closeness and pleasure. And once it says here that, so the solution is to ally oneself, to make yourself an ally oneself with the divine truth and presence, and being hostile towards oneself, being hostile, because many that we become hostile to people, to a person on the outside. I might become hostile towards my brother may become hostile towards me, when really he should become hostile to himself, I should become hostile to myself. Because is that when hostility is formed, I know now when I want to sin, I will form hostility. I am against myself. Because myself is against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then when I want to sin, I say, no, Ya Allah, You are watching me, you are hearing me, you know my thoughts, you know who I am. Why am I going to sin when you're present? I wouldn't do this sin in the presence of my own father, in the presence of my own mother. I wouldn't do this sin in the presence of my own wife. But we can sin in your pleasure and hazuri. How is this possible? It's because we go back to the start. This presumption of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this fairy tale you've created in your mind, it needs to be diminished. It needs to get eliminated. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such a being and such a majesty that only befits Himself. However He is, we can't say the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in the Aqidah, we cannot even say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hand is like our hand, and a'udhu billah. When you say these things, you say Allah's hand is a hand that suits His majesty. Allah's eyes are eyes that suit His majesty. So because we think is that our hand do this, it must be Allah, astaghfirullah al-azim. It's completely different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the heaven and earth in 7 days. You can't even make a Lego. And then you saying to me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you saying our hands are the same? Don't give me this. We struggle. You can't even follow simple instructions in a book. Don't give me this comparison, because it is not the same. So then we look at different aspects of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's closeness and nearness. And then they say, only at this moment. So when this moment happens, you've passed through these 4 states, you will have a taste of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's friendship. You've not drank from this cup yet, brothers and sisters, you've not. When you taste this cup, and you will taste the sweetness of its water, and the sweetness of Allah's majesty, and Allah's closeness, and being in the hazuri of His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, only then you will change your life forever. It's because the awliya Allah understand, they've experienced and witnessed. But we don't have this. I just want to finish off with ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allazina yadaluna an sabilillah, and follow not desire. Allahum azabun shadidun bima nafsu yawm al-hisab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, follow not desire, lest it lead you, it will lead you astray from Allah's path. So follow not desire. Do not follow the desire of this. Inshallah. So inshallah, now we will end on this. Inshallah, we'll start the Dhikr majlis. Inshallah. If there's any questions that anyone would like to ask, inshallah, there's sisters at the back. If there's any sisters, we have. If I cannot answer, there are scholars here. Inshallah. But inshallah, we'll give a moment if there's any questions. No. بسم الله سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونتوب إليك.